Good afternoon. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you missed me. I haven't done a live since last week. But I wanted to touch a little bit on the spirit of the Jewish people, what's going on in Israel with the release of the hostages and the pain of seeing the terror, bloodthirsty terrorists being released. It's remarkable to see the story of the Jewish people. You know, it's interesting. Because in the beginning of Exodus, the book of Exodus, which begins the trials, the tribulations of the Jewish people, the exile, the struggle, the Torah tells us something interesting. It says, "Vayakom melech chadash HaMitzrayim." There was a new king who rose in Egypt, Asher lo yadas Yosef, who didn't know Joseph. And Rashi right away says, there's two opinions. Rav and Shmuel, two rabbis in the Talmud, argue about this. One says it means it was a new king. The king died, there was a new king. The second opinion says that no, it was the same king. He just made himself like a new king. He forgot all that Joseph did for Egypt. After all, Joseph saved Egypt from famine, from destruction. He rose to be the viceroy. You would have thought they would have treated the Jews differently. But they forgot. They made believe they didn't know. In truth, that's the answer to both opinions, because even the opinion that says that it was a new king, even if it was a new king, did he not hear? Joseph was famous in Egypt. But there's a third opinion, and maybe a third thought here, that really speaks to the spirit of the Jewish people. What does it mean that he didn't know Joseph? That he didn't understand the makeup of Joseph? That he didn't understand what Joseph was made of? You see, think about Joseph. 17 years old, sold by his brothers who are supposed to love him the most, into slavery. First thrown in the pit, then he goes into slavery. Comes to Egypt, a foreign land, as a slave, doesn't know anyone. Climbs up the ladder to become Potiphar, one of the chief people in Egypt, his master of his whole estate. And then Potiphar's wife tries to seduce him. He overcomes that, he gets thrown into prison for 12 years. Every time they tried to hurt him, they tried to throw him down, they tried to make him suffer, he only grew. He only became stronger. And even after being 12 years in prison, he rises to be the viceroy of Egypt, to be the second in command in entire Egypt, and saves the whole Egypt. What Pharaoh and those who wanted to kill the Jewish people didn't understand is the spirit of the Jewish people. The more you try to break them and crush them, the stronger they grow, the greater they accomplish. In fact, that's exactly what the verse says. Just as they tortured the Jewish people, so too did they grow and increase. The story of the Jewish people. In fact, the rabbis tell us that the Jewish people are compared to an olive. Because an olive, the more you crush it, the more you get oil that illuminates, that brightens the world. And that has been the story of the Jewish people. That's what Joseph's Pharaoh didn't understand. He wanted to try to crush the Jewish people. But what would that lead to? Only growing and strength for the Jewish people. And so is what we've seen since October 7th. The remarkable resilience of the Jewish people. A country under fire from 7 directions. Millions of people running to shelters constantly. Terror attacks in the country. October 7th. Murder, rape, killing. Hostages for 450 days in tunnels in Gaza. Raped and hurt. Then you watch Emily Damari come out waving a sign, wrapped in a flag, smiling. How? The perseverance, the strength of the Jewish people. You think about Rachel Poland, her son Hirsch was killed. You could think she would give up. Why should she fight for the hostages anymore? But she says, no, they became my friends, they're my people. She continued speaking in clarity, in one voice. We all watched the 3 girls hostages get released and run into the embrace of their mother. How beautiful. If you didn't cry, then you don't have a heart. And yet we saw one person who was standing there as they came to Hadassah Hospital, into the absorption center, was a woman by the name of Molly Zender. Molly Zender is the chief nurse of Hadassah. And you watch her, watching these girls run and embrace their mother. How remarkable. She was there to help with the trauma, with the issues. But there's something interesting about Molly Zender. Her own daughter, Noah Zender, was at the Nova Festival and was killed on October 7th. You would think she has to watch these mothers embrace their daughters, think about herself, who she could never get that opportunity. And they asked her on the TV, how does it feel for her? And just, of course, at every free moment, and at times she thinks if only she could have met her daughter. But she says, I'm so happy and I smile because my daughter Noah was full of life, full of growth, and she would have been happy and she would have cared. Think about the spirit of the Jewish people. That's what Hamas, Hezbollah, all the anti-Semites on X and all over social media in the world don't understand. Pharaoh, Lo Yodas Yosef, he didn't know the spirit and the makeup of Joseph and the Jewish people. But we will continue to grow and illuminate this world and strive to be better. Have a great day.